So as you were saying, she had options for our contract. However, she never came back and said, I'd like to renegotiate down, or I'm not interested. We never heard from her again. I just got the contract, I was called in, it's signed. The News Journal said it was $1 less than the minimum required to go to board approval. So if we put together what we thought was a fair contract and leaving the politics out of it and having it presented to an independent person like a Renee Televast, we wanted to get this thing going while we could capitalize on beach weeks. What's wrong? Why would we want to inflate the thing even more than what it was? It's a lawful contract, no dispute, no complaints from the public. Despite all the hysteria created in the News Journal, the only public criticism from the following SVA board meeting on August 8th was Guy Mariandi, the spouse of a city commissioner, Judy Riker, an insider, where she's part of that whole imagination of we don't want you here to begin with. But there was no criticism from the public. And when you went to when you were removed by a push of Joshua Wagner, like everything else in the council, he was going by a whim of, oh, hysteria, we got to get rid of this guy. But when you came into the council 2 weeks later after they removed you, or several weeks after they removed you, Wagner had a different point of view on you, didn't he?
Yeah,
an appreciation.
Yeah, he did. And in fact, I believe he said that he'd actually done some research to find out what had happened, and apologized for not doing that before the hand, and agreed with me on the videos. But I think there's an important thing you need to understand in this August 8th meeting, and specifically having to do with these chamber contracts. Carl Watson came on board, I believe, August 5th on Monday, and I was doing the budget because Renee was too busy with her budget. So I was doing the budget for the authority, and it came down to the wire, and Watson did not want to make the presentation because he said he wasn't familiar enough. So that's the reason that I made the budget presentation. In that presentation, the two chamber contracts, Southeast Volusia and Port Orange, South Daytona, which were $10,000 each the year before, were both recommended for non-renewal, and they were recommended for non-renewal based on a report made by Renee Televast, which was handed out to the board during the budget discussion.
Renee Televast, the long-standing West Volusia Tourism Authority Director.
Yes.
Who was doing double duty, babysitting here, but you were really responsible for taking care of everything.
There was so much consternation when those two contracts were awarded the previous fall or early spring, and Tim had to go through a lot of hoops to get them done. I had asked Renee to take a look to make sure that things were in compliance with those contracts, make sure that everybody was doing what they were supposed to do, both the ad authority and the chambers. Her report that she gave me, typed out in the case of South Volusia and handwritten because she didn't have enough time in the case of Port Orange, South Daytona, she took every item line by line in the contracts and reported on whether they had accomplished or not accomplished. The majority, if not everything, in most contracts was never complied with by the chambers. So her recommendation was based on two things: the non-compliance with the contract that was in place, and secondly, the fact that neither West Volusia nor the Halifax Authority has similar contracts or has ever had similar contracts with
These were the only chambers that basically were getting money because it's expected, because they're a chamber, they get a piece of the action.
Southeast Volusia Advertising was the only one of the three in the county that had long-standing contracts with the chambers.
For a lot more money too.
Well, at one time the Southeast Volusia was getting about $37,000, but Southeast Volusia Advertising was the only authority who was paying the chambers to essentially do what chambers are supposed to do anyway.
All right, we're going to go to the next segment. Okay, this one we're going to go into